Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the video. I'm going to talk about some pathing mechanics, some basic, some a little more complicated. Enjoy. Server tick is the basic unit of time between the client and the server. All information gets sent to the client every 0.6 seconds. So the amount of time it takes for my character shown right here to walk one tile over is basically a game tick. Notice in this first clip, as I click, my character moves right away. Whereas in this clip over here, when I click, there's a little bit of a delay before my character actually decides to move. This is known as tick delay. And it's shown in this figure here in red. So on the left, I have a first game tick cycle, and on the right, I have a second game tick cycle. In the first one, I'm clicking, in the second one, the action is processed. On top here, I have a small tick delay, and at the bottom, I have a big tick delay, because at the bottom, I'm clicking at the beginning of the tick cycle. So I have to wait for that tick to finish before my action is processed in the next tick. If you click twice in the same tick, it's going to register the latest click within that tick. That's the reason why I wasn't moving at the beginning here, because I was clicking back on the spider too quickly and I wasn't allowing the tick to finish. When you're running, your character travels 2 tiles in the span of 1 tick. Technically, it means that your character is teleporting to that tile, which means that you're not actually stepping on that intermediate tile. You can skip over it. That's how you skip over Acid at Ohm, and that's how you can jump over Blood at Maiden. When you click 3 tiles away, your character will prioritize the running action, and then it will finish with the walking action. All the tiles that are marked in purple are the tiles that my character is registered over during a game tick. To complete this path, it would take my character 2 ticks to arrive to its final destination. You can walk and run in diagonals in the same way you would do in straight lines, and it would take your character just the same amount of time it would as if you were going in a straight line, which is 1 game tick if you're running 2 diagonals away. L-shapes occur when you're not really going straight, but you're not really going perfectly diagonal. So what your character will do is it will prioritize a straight path, and then it will finish off with a diagonal. If I'm walking, it's going to take me 2 ticks to arrive at my destination over here, and if I'm running, it'll take me 1 tick. Extended L-shapes are just to emphasize that your character will take the straight route first before turning. This takes 2 ticks, and each tile, again, that I'm marking is a tile that my character is physically on during a tick. This example is a 4 tick path, and you can see that it finishes with an L shape, prioritizing the straight line first. Click on a random point on the map. How will your character get there? So, of course, it's going to go a straight line, then it's going to do the diagonals. You can also make use of L shapes in between in order to create a nice diagonal at the end, just like that. So understanding all of this would basically allow you to be confident to click on that red tile at the end because you know your character will follow the right path to get there. At the crafting guild, when you want to use the bank, you can stand at the north side of the chest or at the west side of the chest. Both paths are 4 ticks, so they take the same amount of time. Your character will, however, prioritize being at the north of the chest and taking this northern path. Do keep in mind that it will still prioritize the quicker path. This will not take me to the south part of the rock because the other side is quicker. Here's an L shape around an obstacle. In this case, it's a gem rock. It's going to take the diagonal path first because of the obstacle. However, it will take the same amount of time to complete the path, which is 1 tick. Tick pathing is kind of like manual pathing. Every tick, you decide where your character moves next. You do this by clicking on a tile that takes 1 tick to travel to at every tick. I'm using RuneLite tile markers and tile indicators to give me a visual cue, and if this is done correctly, then my character will never come to a standstill. Every tick it knows where to go next and it does not stop moving. Which means, at Vorkath, during that green spitty phase, whatever you call it, I should not take, one sec, let me try this again. I should not take any damage if I can tick path successfully. Watching this gives me anxiety, I'm not gonna lie. Weapon drag happens when you attack with a weapon, you're outside of the maximum range that the weapon has, and then you get dragged into range and then you attack. If you are at a 1 tick distance from the maximum weapon range as shown in this clip, then you will attack with no delay. Notice the instant XP drop because I am 2 tiles outside of the maximum range and I'm running. If you are 1 tile outside of the maximum range and you have run activated, you will get dragged 2 tiles in. Just keep that in mind. Animation offset basically means that your character or an NPC is doing an animation, whether it be an attack animation, taste vengeance, any animation that will actually create an offset between its technical location and its perceived location. Alright, so now I'm going to talk about how these pathing mechanics apply in different rooms of the Theater of Blood. So at Maiden, you obviously want to be careful for when she throws blood. A good trick is to keep moving. So every 2 ticks you want to click on a different tile, or you can just move before she attacks. And if she throws blood, you're lucky. So in this next example, it's barraging the clump while also dodging the blood. So after I barrage, I click on a different tile to run there, and I get out of the position that I used to be in. And I do the same thing here. I click a little bit in advance, and I get out of the way. This is pathing, just in simple L tile over the blood. So at bloat, I really like to tick path because it helps me not get stomped by the feet, and it helps me, when I see a shadow, I know that I have enough time to react and move. A cool example of pathing with obstacles is that right here, to cross this corner, I know that it's going to take me 1 tick. And that corner tile, I know that I'm not over it. So if a foot falls there, I don't even have to worry about it. Alright, now let's talk about when bloat is down and he's about to stomp. When he's about to wake up, he moves his head. From that moment, you have 4 ticks to be in a safe spot. So, in this example, I came back because I knew I had enough time, and the safe spot was only 3 ticks away. So, I knew that I can fit a final hit and still reach a safe spot. I find this is a great example to demonstrate animation offset. Bloat, most of the time, will not actually be where he looks to be. In this case, he's right in front of my character, but he looks to be 2 squares behind. If bloat's tile indicator was actually his accurate position, then I would have to run before he moves his head, because I would need more than 4 ticks to reach the safe spot. Here's another interesting animation offset, which is actually to our advantage. And the reason why you want to be on the west instead of on the east is because technically bloat is a bit past the east side. So he would see anyone who's on the east here. That's why the west is the safe choice. Alright, final bloat example. In this case, he's exactly in the corner, even though the tile indicator shows that he's not. And you can tell that easily by looking at where your character is standing, and just understand that your character is in melee distance, so right next to where he technically is. For the Sotetseg maze, the person in the instance, every tick, his path is reflected through this red indicator in the maze, and that's what you're following. So if the person in the instance is doing a good job with his pathing, whether it's diagonals, L-shapes, straight lines, or a mix of all of them, as long as you click at every tick, whenever that red square indicator appears, your character will follow the same path that the person in the instance did. So what I'm doing in this instance is not exactly the most efficient path, but I really want to showcase the different techniques for pathing. And I do want to say that in Sotetseg and in Zarpus, you're not actually able to do the intermediate tile skipping technique. So when you're running, you run over the intermediate tile. In the maze, you'll take damage, and you will also get poisoned in Zarpus if you do that. Alright, so for Zarpus, all you gotta do is move 2 tiles away when it aims you. So I'm marking all these tiles that are 1 tick distance away, so I don't lose any damage, I don't lose any DPS, but I know that I will not get touched. Now watch this. I move 2 tiles, 1 splat falls behind, another splat falls behind, and I move again. That's all you gotta do. So here's a quick representation of the tiles that are surrounding Xarpus. The purple ones are the ones you probably want to mark because they are all 1 tick distance away from each other and they allow good mobility around Xarpus. At the beginning of the fight, you want to drop your specs on where the green tiles are indicated. You do not want to stand in purples and you don't want to stand in red tiles at the beginning of the fight when you're dropping specs because those tiles should be acid free. At the bottom section over here, you have each direction that Xarpus is looking in. You obviously don't want to be in those corners, but you also don't want to be in the dead center of a side, so northeast, south, or west. You want to avoid being there. That's why I recommend the purple tiles. Xarpus will turn every 8 ticks, which means with the blowpipe, which is a 2-tick weapon, you can get 4 hits in with 1 tick error of margin. With a whip, you can get 2 hits in before you gotta move to the next corner. I suggest standing next to the corner that he's looking at so that when he turns, you can go to that corner and be sure that you can attack safely. So there are a few things to note in verzik. When you're doing web phase, pathing is very, very important. Here I get stuck. Now watch as I tick path to make sure that when I do attack her, she will not drag me into a web and damage me for like a 50. Also notice that during web phase, when she throws the webs and they hit the ground, it'll still take another tick for those webs to take effect and actually be dangerous. So if you are tick walking, you probably can get out of it, like in this clip. Looks like I'm caught in a web, but the character's animation, the web's animation, they're not really up to date with what's actually going on. In part 3 verzik, she goes crazy, so her animations delay her movement, and it seems like she's in one place, but you can melee her from almost across the room. So there's a lot of distance with my melee hits in her right now, because she's technically next to me, but it looks like she's far away because of the animation. Understanding this will make you a better tank, and you'll take less melees from verzik. As you can see, I'm hitting her from like 3 tiles away, and I'm stepping back because I know she's next to me even though she doesn't appear to be. And then when she attacks, I'll be out of range. And then I avoid the melee. I'm going to leave you guys with one last clip here. So my buddy takes me out. He did a diagonal over the web, so he's good. I skip over the web. I forced myself to go to the east side of that web because I knew if I went north, I would have been stuck. Anyways, I get stuck here again. He's going to save me, but he's going to be prioritized to the south tile. So I knew he was getting stuck after. That's why I got him out right away. And that is the beauty of pathing mechanics. Thanks for watching the video. If it helped you out, let me know. If there's anything I should improve, this is my first in-depth guide, so I'm not really sure if I'm doing a good job. If you want to see something for verzik part 2, let me know in the comments and I'll try to work on something in the future. And yeah, I hope it helped. Happy raiding, guys.
Purple chest! Yes, dude. This has been my first purple since I've been on vacation, dude. Fuck yeah.